Hey everyone! Today I have a story to share, one full of emotions and unexpected twists. I hope you enjoy it and stick around until the very end. Ready? Let's dive in. From the 32nd floor of the Chicago Financial Group, Megan Williams gazed out the window at the towering city skyline. She had just wrapped up her final client meeting and sank heavily into her chair, clearly worn out. Her desk was cluttered with stacks of paperwork waiting to be tackled. Megan had earned a reputation as one of Chicago's leading financial consultants. Burning the midnight oil again, her co-worker Jessica peeked in. "Yes, I need to get the quarterly report done today," Megan replied with a tired but determined smile. Though weary, her eyes held a quiet resolve. "You work so hard. Why not come to brunch with us this Sunday?" "I'm sorry, I'll be visiting my parents then." There was a slight hesitation in Megan's voice. Her relationship with her parents, Judith and Howard, was complicated. On the surface, they seemed like the perfect family, but the truth was more tangled. Megan's heart was caught between a longing for their acceptance and the fear of being rejected. "Oh, another family gathering. Will your sister be there too?" "Yes, Brittany and her husband will be." As she spoke, Megan pulled a document from her drawer, a bank transfer record showing $5,000 paid last month. She had made 120 payments so far, adding up to over $600,000. The original student loan was $500,000, but interest had ballooned the debt. Megan sighed deeply. A decade ago, when she enrolled at Harvard Business School, her parents agreed to loan her the tuition, but only if she could repay it properly in the future. Meanwhile, they paid full tuition for her sister Brittany's studies at Yale. That disparity still left a deep mark on Megan's heart. "Actually, my sister is pregnant," Megan added quietly. "Congrats. You're going to be an aunt." Jessica's voice brightened. Megan's face was a mix of emotions. "Thanks. Mom's thrilled. She calls almost every day asking how Brittany's morning sickness is." "That sounds like your mom," Jessica said knowingly. She was one of the few people who truly grasped Megan's family dynamics. Megan glanced back at the repayment records. She had worked tirelessly, paid her debt honestly, and lived with integrity. Yet to Howard Williams, she was never quite enough. "You always come up short." Her father's words, repeated since childhood, still haunted her. Brittany was different. She played the role of the perfect daughter flawlessly, the one their parents, especially her father, favored. Brittany majored in psychology and now worked in the charitable arm of their father's company. 2 years ago, she had a lavish wedding with Ryan Morris, a wealthy real estate mogul. Their parents were ecstatic about the match and praised Brittany's perfect choice. Megan had been a bridesmaid, watching Brittany glide down the aisle in her pristine white gown on Howard's arm. Megan's tears were a mix of joy for her sister and sorrow for a father's love she felt was forever out of reach. "Did you hear that wedding cost almost $3 million? Jessica asked later. Megan shrugged, not knowing then that part of her loan repayments had helped cover those expenses. 2 years on, since Brittany's pregnancy news, her parents' favoritism had only grown stronger. Last Sunday at dinner, Megan mentioned a recent successful project she managed, but her mother barely paid attention. "Oh, Brittany, how's the morning sickness? When I was pregnant, it was awful." The conversation shifted back to Brittany, leaving Megan's achievements unacknowledged. Another long day ended. Megan signed off on the last document and grabbed her bag. Outside, rain poured down heavily. "Be careful getting home," Jessica said. "Will do. See you Monday," Megan replied with a smile. That was the last time she spoke that night. Later, on slick roads, the taxi she rode in crashed. Megan was rushed to the hospital with multiple fractures and internal injuries. Though not life-threatening, she faced weeks in hospital and a long recovery. Her body ached with broken bones in her right arm and leg, cracked ribs, and internal bruising. The doctor told her she was lucky. Had things been slightly worse, she might not have survived. "Lucky, huh?" she whispered through dry lips. Only one bouquet of flowers sat in her hospital room, sent by Jessica and their co-workers. The door opened and Christine peeked in. "How are you feeling?" Christine, a college friend who had rushed over after hearing the news, visited daily and was Megan's main source of support. "Could be worse. Thanks for coming." "Of course." Christine sat down, placing a fruit basket on the table. "Your parents?" Megan asked. Christine shook her head. "I've tried reaching them on their cell and home phones, no answer." Megan forced a small smile. "They're probably busy." Christine's face darkened. She knew well the complicated family issues Megan had faced back in college. Christine had often noticed the loneliness lurking in Megan's eyes whenever family matters came up. "Why don't you try calling them again?" Christine suggested gently. Megan nodded slowly and reached for her phone on the bedside table. She dialed her mother's number. The phone rang several times but no one picked up. Finally it switched to voicemail. "Mom, it's Megan. I've been in an accident and I'm at Chicago General. Please call me back. Please." She hung up with a sigh and tried her father's number next. No answer there either. "I can't believe your parents are so indifferent," Christine said, her voice tinged with anger. "I'm used to it," Megan replied softly. The truth was, this time their silence cut deeper than ever. The accident had happened 3 days ago. It was even on local news and her name was mentioned, but still no word from her parents. What about Brittany? Maybe she knows something. She's not picking up either. Maybe she's busy, she is pregnant. Christine said nothing but her eyes burned with quiet fury. She squeezed Megan's hand reassuringly. "I'll come visit again tomorrow after work. Do you need anything?" "Thanks. Nothing special." Once Christine left, the hospital room fell back into silence. Outside, dusk was settling in, the sky darkening beyond the window. Megan sat quietly with her phone, battling loneliness and pain, wondering whether to call her parents again. The next afternoon, Megan tried calling her parents once more. This time on the third ring her mother answered, her voice sharp and a little annoyed. "Megan, what is it?" Megan was taken aback. Did she not know about the accident? "I was in an accident. I'm at Chicago General." "Oh, I see." Her mother's tone was colder than she had expected. "Mom, could you come visit me? I'm scared and alone." There was a rare vulnerability in Megan's voice. Usually she masked her fear with courage, but now she felt truly scared and isolated. But Judith's reply crushed her. "I don't have time for that. Brittany just had her baby. No one cares about your accident right now." Megan was stunned. She hadn't even been told Brittany had given birth. Worse, her mother's harsh words cut deeply. "But I'm seriously hurt. I need help," she begged. Judith remained unmoved. "You're overreacting. You always want attention. Don't spoil this special time for Brittany. You have nurses there, don't you? We're going to Hawaii. It's Brittany's baby shower. It's been planned for months. You should have gotten an invitation too." Megan didn't remember receiving any invite. Maybe it came the day before her accident, but she hadn't seen it. "Mom, please." The call ended abruptly. Megan lay back, stunned, staring at the ceiling. She couldn't believe her own parents could be so cold. She fought back tears, but they came anyway, silently soaking her pillow. The hospital door opened, and a nurse entered. Seeing Megan crying, she came over with concern. "Are you okay? Is the pain worse?" Megan shook her head. "No. I'm just feeling lonely." The nurse smiled kindly. "Will anyone be visiting?" "My friend will. My family, they're busy." That was the excuse she gave. She didn't have the strength to explain that her parents were prioritizing a baby shower over her accident. After the nurse left, Megan picked up her phone again, still numb. She opened Facebook and her breath caught. Photos flooded the screen. Her parents and Brittany's family in Hawaii. Clear blue waters, white sandy beaches, a luxury resort. Brittany cradled her baby bump, smiling alongside her husband Ryan. Her parents looked radiant, raising champagne glasses in a toast. What a lavish celebration, Megan whispered. As she scrolled through the pictures, gourmet dishes prepared by a top chef, piles of expensive gifts. Her thoughts turned to her medical bills. Insurance would cover some costs, but she still faced substantial expenses and months of rehab. Meanwhile, her parents were splurging like this, in Hawaii. Then a comment caught her eye, beneath a photo posted by her mother. The best gift for Brittany, with a special contribution from Megan. Megan's heart sank. The meaning was unmistakable. Her parents were using her monthly loan repayments to fund the party. Money she had painstakingly sent every month was being spent on Brittany's baby shower without her consent. Unbelievable. Rage and betrayal surged inside her. For 10 years, she had faithfully repaid that loan, often sacrificing her own comfort. Yet her parents were freely spending her money on her sister. Megan called her lawyer friend Alex, her college boyfriend and trusted ally. "Hey! Do you have a moment? What's going on? It's been a while." She told him everything: the accident, the neglect, the betrayal. Alex's voice grew fierce. "I'm coming over now. I'll be at the hospital in 30 minutes. True to his word, Alex arrived promptly. Alex sat beside Megan's hospital bed, his expression serious. "First things first. Can you show me the loan agreement you have with your parents?" Megan unlocked her phone and pulled up a scanned copy from her cloud storage, handing it over. Alex scanned the document carefully, his brow furrowing as he absorbed the details. "According to this," he finally said, "the repayments are voluntary and no fixed deadline is set. Legally, pausing payments temporarily shouldn't cause issues." He looked up, his face hardening. "There's something else you should know. The family property you're set to inherit from your grandparents." Megan nodded slowly. The estate included a sizable parcel of land and a house in the Chicago suburbs where her grandparents still lived. The inheritance was meant to be passed down to Megan and Brittany through their parents. Alex continued, "There's a special clause in your grandparents' will protecting the happiness of their grandchildren. Your parents' recent behavior violates that clause. Legally, you could likely claim the estate rights solely for yourself." Megan's eyes hardened with resolve, replacing the usual hurt. "That's it," she declared. "Tomorrow I'll notify them to stop the repayments. And I'll move to claim the grandparents' estate in my name alone." Her voice trembled, not with doubt but with anger. Years of trying to win her parents' approval had been wasted. Alex squeezed her hand. "I'm here for you. You're not facing this alone." Despite the aches in her body, Megan managed a small smile. For the first time in a long while, she felt a spark of freedom. It was time to take back control. She sat up, reviewing the papers Alex had prepared, the official notice to end loan payments, and documents to start legal proceedings over the estate. "Does this look right?" Megan asked, glancing at him. He nodded firmly. "Everything's solid. Once they receive the notice, they can't legally contest it." He held her hand gently again. "Any regrets?" Megan inhaled deeply, exhaling slowly. Her gaze was steady, fueled by years of pent-up frustration and a newfound determination. "None at all. I spent a decade trying to earn their love. Now it's over. I'll live life on my own terms." Alex smiled. "Good. I'll send these off immediately." He packed the papers into his briefcase and rose. "I'll mail them and email copies to make sure they get through." "Thank you, Alex," Megan said softly, grateful beyond words to have someone by her side. "Call me if anything happens. I'll come right away." Once he left, Megan lay back, staring at the ceiling. Her mind traced back over her life, her strained family ties, her sister, and the uncertain road ahead. Anger still burned inside her, but alongside it, a rare peace settled. Later, a nurse entered for routine care. "Will your family be visiting today, Miss Williams?" Megan gave a faint smile. "No, no one's coming." The truth was, she no longer expected them to. That evening, Alex called with an update. The notices had been sent and the emails confirmed delivered. Megan nodded quietly, knowing the first step was behind her. The next morning the hospital phone rang. The caller ID read Mom. Megan stared at it but didn't answer. When the call ended, the phone rang again, this time from Dad. She ignored it again. Within an hour, her phone logged over 20 missed calls. Voicemails from her parents piled up, but Megan didn't listen. She already knew what they wanted to say. Just after noon, the hospital door flew open. Judith and Howard stormed in, panic etched on their faces. Her mother's eyes blazed with fury. Her father's forehead glistened with sweat. Megan Elizabeth Williams. Judith snapped, her voice shaking with anger. What have you done? Megan stayed calm, sitting up straight. She had anticipated their arrival, but not this soon nor with such force. Still she kept her composure. What are you talking about? Your repayments were supposed to fund Brittany's down payment on her new house, her mother yelled. Megan frowned. Did they truly not grasp why she was furious? And that concerns me how? She asked evenly. We've supported you all these years, and this is your thanks. Ungrateful. Howard bellowed, stepping forward, face flushed. Megan took a steadying breath, her voice clear. Supported me. Megan's voice was quiet, but the anger beneath it burned through. While I was lying in a hospital bed after an accident. You were partying in Hawaii. Her parents froze for a moment, then scrambled for excuses. That trip was planned long ago, her mother said defensively. And I didn't think your accident was that serious. It was Brittany's first child, her father added. A milestone. One day you'll understand. Megan said nothing. Instead, she opened Facebook on her phone and pulled up a photo from the baby shower, showing it to them. Here, she said, pointing to the caption her mother had written. I also know you used my loan repayments for Brittany's shower. Care to explain? Their faces shifted, unsure for once. You took my money, Megan said, voice steady but trembling with fury. Without asking. Always for Brittany. Silence filled the room. Her father sank into a chair, rubbing his face. Actually, we were in financial trouble, he muttered. A little trouble. Megan scoffed. How much? Her mother faltered. A lot. Without your repayments, we might have gone bankrupt. Megan stared, disbelief flooding her. 4 years, they'd posed as wealthy and untouchable. It was all a lie. Her father chose his words carefully. Brittany's wedding, helping them buy a house, the baby shower. All paid with your repayments. And new loans. New loans. Megan repeated sharply. He nodded slowly. We used your grandparents' property as collateral. Megan's breath caught. You what? They don't know, he confessed, meeting her eyes at last. That's why I'm begging, drop the estate claim. I want to protect it. For Brittany's child. The last flicker of hope Megan had died. They never cared about her. It was always about Brittany. Her child's future mattered more than Megan's pain. For 10 years, Megan said low and steady. I paid that loan back, sacrificing my own life. You spent it on her. And while I lay injured, you were at a party in Hawaii. She exhaled slowly. It's over. The legal action continues. Leave. Megan, please, her mother pleaded. We're family. Megan smiled bitterly. Family helps when you're hurting. You didn't. You were something else. Just then the hospital door opened. A nurse stepped in, eyes flicking to the monitor with concern. Your blood pressure is rising. Did something happen? No, Megan said calmly. My parents are leaving. The nurse turned to Judith and Howard. I'm sorry, but you'll need to step outside until the patient stabilizes. They tried to argue, but the nurse's firm tone silenced them. They glanced at Megan one last time. She didn't meet their gaze. When the door shut, Megan exhaled a long, shaky breath. This was the beginning of her new life. A true fresh start, finally free. A week later, Megan's body healed slowly, but her heart remained raw. Calls and emails from her parents flooded in, all ignored. Alex assured her the legal process was on track. One quiet afternoon, as Megan watched TV, a knock came at the door. "Come in," she called. The door opened. Brittany stood there, eyes red and swollen, hands resting lightly on her small belly. Her movements were hesitant, subdued. Megan straightened, emotions crashing. Anger, sorrow, love, confusion, tangled and raw. "I heard from Mom and Dad," Brittany said softly, voice shaky. "I didn't know my baby shower was paid for with your repayments." Megan said nothing, watching her carefully. "Ryan's furious too," Brittany continued. "Now that he sees what my family really is. He's talking about taking the baby and leaving." Megan blinked. "Ryan. He's honest," Brittany said quietly. "Built everything himself. He can't stand living off others." She sat in the chair nearby, wiping tears. "I've been living a lie." Megan remained silent. "To be their perfect daughter, I put on a show," Brittany said bitterly. "All the parties, the smiles, it was an act." She gave a small, self-mocking smile. "Ryan and I are drowning in debt. His real estate business is failing. Without my parents' money, we'd be bankrupt." Megan struggled to process it. Everything she thought she knew about Brittany, the polished life, the success, the privilege, it was all a facade. "But why?" Megan whispered. "Why lie?" Brittany hesitated. "Pride," she finally admitted. "Shame. I wanted to be what they expected." Her eyes locked with Megan's, voice trembling. "I've always been jealous of you. You did everything on your own. You're real." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "But me, I'm just a fake. Everything about me is a lie." Megan sat, stunned, heart pounding with conflicting feelings. Megan had always thought of Brittany as the perfect daughter, loved and favored by their parents. But now she saw that Brittany carried her own hidden suffering. "Why didn't you say anything until now?" Megan asked softly. Brittany's voice was small. "I was ashamed. I thought if I admitted failure, Mom and Dad would be disappointed." The hospital room door opened again. Ryan stepped inside. His expression hard, but his anger wasn't aimed at Megan. "Megan, I'm sorry I couldn't come sooner," he said as he approached and took Megan's hand gently. "I didn't know what your parents were doing behind our backs. To think our life was supported by your money. It's shameful." Megan was touched by his sincere apology. "You didn't know." "No. Not until yesterday." Ryan's face darkened. "While cleaning my father-in-law's study, I found these." He pulled documents from his briefcase. "Trust fund papers. Your parents set up a fund for Brittany and me, using your student loan repayments and part of your grandparents' estate." Megan took the papers, stunned. The trust fund was real, and the amount involved was staggering. "I'm taking Brittany and the baby and leaving," Ryan said quietly but firmly. "I won't be part of this corruption. I'll support my family honestly, even if it means living modestly." Brittany burst into tears again. "Megan, please forgive me. I didn't know." Despite the turmoil, Megan felt no hatred toward Brittany. After all, she was also a victim of their parents' warped love. "I'm not blaming you," Megan said quietly, "but it will take time to rebuild trust." Brittany nodded. "I understand. I want to start over too. Live honestly with Ryan. I support your legal fight." Ryan looked at Megan. "For the sake of protecting your grandparents' property and justice, we'll start fresh on our own." He squeezed Brittany's hand and stood. "We should go now. Megan needs her rest." Brittany glanced at Megan once more. "Can I visit again?" Megan thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, of course." As they left, Megan felt the heavy weight in her chest lighten. Her life had changed drastically in these weeks. The accident had unexpectedly freed her from years of bondage. 6 months later, Megan's broken arm and leg had fully healed. Her internal injuries had mended. After intense rehab, she returned to work 2 weeks ago. Her colleagues welcomed her warmly. Jessica hugged her tightly, tears in her eyes. "You've done so well," Jessica said. Her words resonated deeply. Megan's life had shifted dramatically. With Alex's legal help, she had stopped repaying her parents altogether. The legal proceedings over her grandparents' estate concluded successfully. Her grandparents, furious at her parents' betrayal, revoked their management rights under the clause protecting the grandchildren's happiness. "Your father used my property as collateral," Grandfather William said angrily. At 85, his strong will remained unbroken. "Don't worry, Megan. We'll fix this properly." Her grandparents' support became an emotional pillar for Megan. She inherited part of the estate early and used it to buy a new downtown apartment, her sanctuary. A spacious living room, walls lined with bookshelves, large windows overlooking the lake. This was the home she had always dreamed of. After her morning coffee, Megan stood before the mirror, examining herself. She was thinner, but her eyes held a fierce, new determination. She was finally walking her own path. Meanwhile, her parents' lives unraveled. Megan's legal action and her grandparents' fury became community gossip. Judith and Howard were shunned by friends. Their false life and mistreatment of Megan were exposed. Howard suffered a heart attack 3 weeks ago. Stress had taken its toll. Ironically, they lacked proper medical insurance and struggled to pay the bills. "Their downfall is their own doing," Christine said flatly. Ryan had closed his real estate company and found a job at a construction firm. The salary was less than half of what he used to earn, but he spoke with quiet pride about the satisfaction of working honestly. After giving birth, Brittany had started taking online courses, aiming to qualify as a teacher. "I've always wanted to work with children," she confessed to Megan one afternoon. "But our parents always objected. They said the salary was too low." Megan quietly supported her sister's new path. Their relationship was gradually mending. It would take time to fully rebuild trust, but at least now they could speak honestly. Brittany's son, little Daniel, was 3 months old when Megan finally met her nephew. Tears welled up as she gazed at his innocent smile, a fragile symbol of the family's new hope. "Would you like to hold him?" Brittany asked gently. Megan timidly cradled the baby. Daniel stared up at her and suddenly smiled. At that moment, a small crack appeared in the ice around Megan's heart. "He's a truly lovely baby," Megan said softly. As the holidays approached, Megan reflected on years past. Family holidays had always been filled with tension and dissatisfaction. Christmas especially was a day when her parents showered Brittany with excessive gifts and attention, while she felt like a distant bystander. But this year was different. She could spend it on her own terms. After several days of thought, Megan decided to invite Brittany's family for Christmas dinner. She would create a new kind of family gathering, at her new apartment. On Christmas evening, Brittany, Ryan, and little Daniel knocked on Megan's door, which was aglow with warm light. Megan welcomed them inside and served a homemade dinner. On the table were roast turkey, creamy mashed potatoes, and apple pie. A small Christmas tree twinkled by the fireplace. "Lovely apartment," Brittany said, looking around. "It's so you, Megan." The conversation flowed naturally, and the tension of the past gradually melted away. Ryan spoke about his new job. Brittany shared updates on her studies. Though finances were tighter, their spirits seemed freer, their lives richer in a different way. At dessert, Brittany looked quietly around the table. "What about our parents? Are you seeing them?" Megan lifted her wine glass and answered thoughtfully. "No. I've received letters from them, but I don't write back." After a brief silence, she added, "They're facing the consequences of their choices. But we can choose a different path." Ryan nodded, picking up little Daniel. "For the sake of the children, we have to make the right choices." Megan smiled at her nephew's bright grin. She had made the right choice for herself too. She had heard her parents had moved to a small town to escape debt collectors, living modestly on her father's pension. Their glamorous life in Chicago was over. They had been abandoned by their friends and forced to face reality. In Megan's desk drawer lay several letters from her parents. The first were full of anger and blame. The recent ones carried regret, especially her mother's, filled with sorrow. "I'm sorry for hurting you. I hope one day you can forgive me." Megan read the letter and thought deeply. But she wasn't ready to reply. The wounds were still raw, needing more time to heal. After Christmas dinner, as she saw Brittany's family off, Megan silently vowed not to be chained by the past but to walk her chosen path. Perhaps someday she might forgive. But that time was not yet. For now, her focus was on healing and building a new life. Returning to her apartment, she looked out at the shimmering city lights. Despite the accident that had shattered her world, Megan felt a quiet strength and peace. She was a stronger, more independent woman. Above all, she had learned to live for herself.